Hi, it's 1975 and welcome to Elite Dangerous on the Xbox One. And today I got a fun clip for you. So this was me in a system where 6 Dark Marauder carriers were parked up, taking on 2 IED that suddenly turned up in system. I think Just Pete found where our carriers was and called over support and decided to attack. Eventually I did turn my back on Dragonstorm and let him interdict me, and then the fight started. Now, originally when I started fighting I thought that support was very close by, but turned out Polo had to swap ships and recharge his shields and had stuff to do, and Pirates R Us was further away than I thought. So I ended up 2v1 for quite a long time, and I made the commitment just to go silent running and just carry on fighting. I could have waked away, but I wanted to keep them in the instance and I wanted to keep fighting. So I was like, you know what? I haven't done it for a long time. I love doing it. Let's go suicide burn in the beam de lance. See how long we last. See how hot we can get. How many bright lights we can push out. Now, the reason I said that I turned my back to let him interdict me was because Dragonstorm tried to interdict me while facing me. Now I have offered, and I still will offer, if IED need help at interdicting people, I can offer my services. As a pirate, we're used to interdicting people that don't want to be interdicted. PvPers, on a general note, are really lazy when it comes to interdictions and aren't very good at interdictions, because people, they tend to interdict, submit immediately and then fight them because they're interdicting other PvPers. See, I interdict people who don't want to be interdicted, and IED need to get used to interdicting people who don't want to be interdicted, because, you know, people will fight against those interdictions, and if you're trying to interdict people you're facing, you kind of need help. But this was a fun fight. I should have stayed focused on the Fragmamba, because that's the one doing most of the damage. But I saw Just Pete was in his Vulture, so I turned on that. I shouldn't have done that, because, you know, that basically leaves the Mamba just free to just eat me alive. But like I say, I was just having fun winging it around, seeing if I could deal out a load of damage, waiting for support to arrive. So at this point I've pretty much committed to death. Once I hit that silent running, that's it. I'm gonna die. It's you know, I'm already dead at this point. You know, even if I stop fighting, by the time I cool down, I'm dead. I just love how bright my beams go, and it is a glorious, fun way to die. The amount of damage you put out while doing this is really, really good fun. So I do enjoy it. It looks really ridiculous, the brightness, the silliness of the beams, you know, the amount of DPS that I output, it's all good fun. And yeah, and it's not like there's a real big penalty for dying, considering my carrier, which is where I just came from, is like parked next to this fight. What's the penalty? Normally I don't like to ghost back into fights, but in this case I did. It was probably bad of me, but considering that usually, well, all fights of IED, they always ghost back in, so when you fight IED you tend to ghost back in. But anyway. Avenge me! And there I go, boom. So yeah, I melted myself totally. Had a good bit of fun melting myself doing that. And then I rushed back in to support Polo and bring Pirates R Us with us, and now it's gone from a 2v1 to a 3v2, and the tide turns very quickly. And I thought it'd be fun, and I just gave Dragonstorm a little bit of a fright. There's not many places in the galaxy where I can kind of work out where you're jumping, just from like the direction you're jumping. Round Sol, round Kalinus, and oddly, I used to be able to do it, probably can't do it anymore around Exo core systems, just because you tend to chase after people who jump out so often. You know where the systems line up, you know. It's just one of those things, you just kind of get a feel for the place, because you've chased people around it so often, or people who chased you around it so often, or you've just run so many trade routes around it. When you see someone high wake out, you're like, I know where they're going. I tried to do that here and I didn't quite get it right, but I gave them enough of a shock. It was quite funny. I basically had a 50-50 and I flipped wrong, but I very, very nearly caught him out. which would have been funny. As the amount of DPS my little Beam de Lance output in this fight, I'm more than happy with. It is still a fun and absolutely stupidly silly ship. Yeah, and the fixed version does even more damage. It does 30% extra damage. The question is, I'll have to maintain target better using the fixed beam version. So that's the next step. Interestingly, there's a lot more people using Beam de Lances now. It's kind of like, it's good to see, because it was Meta Orange was the first person I saw on Xbox using one, and then I started using one, and now I'm seeing saw Flipper Gold and Trajan use one not so long ago. I thought Senior Maggie in a 1v1 up at the CG, he was using one. Dragonscore, when he was shooting at me in one of the 4v1 attacks I had while I was up there, he was using one. Or I didn't notice he was using one just before I jumped out, and I was like, oh, that's cool. That was nice to see. I like a bit of colourful beams. I still want to do like an entire rainbow spectrum, get like 8 people, 2 wings, each of a different colour. I think that'd be really fun. It's just really, really stupid. But yeah, so I thought I'd give Dragonstorm a little bit of a fright, chasing back to his carrier. It is always weird when chasing the police. It's kind of a weird feeling, because it should be the other way around. The police should chase the villain, not the villain chase the police. But I couldn't resist, because like I say, there are very few places I can do this without a weight scanner, and we just happen to be in one of those areas where I kind of know my way around a bit. And had I known where his carrier was parked before, I would have probably guessed right, but I had a 50-50 and I guessed wrong. You can see here I'm like, is it that one or that one? I don't know, I'm not sure. And I picked the wrong system. But, it happens. And had I picked the right system, I probably would have caught up with him just outside his carrier. But them's the breaks, that's how it goes. But it's never too much of a worry, because there's always a chance in this game for retribution. You're never short of a chance to kill someone who's killed you. And it's that's part of the fun of the game, is there's no real penalty for dying. There isn't. It's a small financial penalty that's meaningless to most players. So it is just purely bragging rights and silliness. And that's it. There's nothing else. And I think, I'm not 100% sure, but I think he's just landed there. And I was that close. So yeah, nearly got him. Nearly chased him back. And then it wasn't long
later
before the ED gods gave me a chance at retribution. Later that evening, I was winged up with some of the guys, and we were fighting alongside Chemo Crew against a bunch of people, the Mortons and a few others, and lo and behold, there's Dragonstorm, and I get my chance at revenge. So it's all good. That's all for this video. Thank you very much for watching.